Just when we thought you'd said farewell. How so?
Well, once upon a time I was a 12-year-old boy and I promised I'd pull out. But you know...
Oh, God. Oh, Gene. No. Why? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh. Hello, friends and fellow VEDSies. Welcome to day 25 of VEDS. Welcome to that time where I start rambling on about the history of my favorite band, KISS. Today I'm going to be talking about 2003, which was kind of a weird transitional year for the band. Some lineup changes in there, some weird stuff. When I last left off, KISS were just sort of wrapping up their farewell tour. I say wrapping up, but KISS fans were not thrilled with how that tour turned out. Because, I mean, they were promised like a 3-year epic tour, not unlike what tour they're on right now, that would culminate in like an epic final concert, probably in New York City. That would be like this emotional affair. But what actually happened was after the American leg, which was indeed very successful, Peter Criss then left before the Japanese portion of touring, and then they did some shows in Japan and Australia, and then were kind of left in this limbo. They re-emerged in 2002 to play at the Olympics, and then again they played at the Dick Clark's American Bandstand 50th anniversary show. But for that show, that was Tommy Thayer and not Ace Frehley, and so now you have only 2 original members left, and this was supposed to be a big cohesive final tour, and KISS fans are like, what happened? Is KISS done now? Have they petered out to that? Is it the end of the band? But all those questions were answered in November of 2002 during that press conference that I shared that truly horrific clip from. Basically, Gene, of course, is responding to the question of, I thought you said KISS was over and now you're continuing on, and he gave that less than graceful answer. But what is really crazy is who showed up to that press conference. Because it was only 3 of the 4 members of KISS, and which 3 they were is crazy. It was Gene Simmons, it was Paul Stanley, and it was Peter Criss. Yes, Peter Criss, who had just left the band 2 years earlier, was now suddenly back for what would be his 3rd term in the band. And then there's, of course, who is missing, Ace Frehley, who had, of course, earlier that year been replaced by Tommy Thayer for that one-off American Bandstand appearance. They were even asked during the press conference whether Ace would be back, and they sort of skirted away from the question. It's hard to know for sure, but reportedly Ace was asked to rejoin the band to play the symphony show, and he declined. I don't know whether that's true or not, so take that with a grain of salt, but in any case, Ace did not return to the band and would be replaced full-time by Tommy Thayer. Tommy Thayer, of course, has a long history with KISS, and a very interesting past as a musician. He was in the band Black and Blue in the 80s, and they were actually, I believe, on Gene Simmons' record label, or at the very least, Gene was producing their music. And then when KISS were looking for some new songs for Hot in the Shade in 1989, Tommy Thayer stepped in and has some writing credits on that album. Wrote some music for that, and then continued to work with KISS through the 90s. In the mid-90s, he was hired as a tour manager, and he was also a producer for some of KISS's long-form videos, so their video cassettes and DVDs and stuff starting at around that time. And in the 90s, he was also playing Ace Frehley in a KISS tribute band called Cold Gin. So he certainly had the chops to, play Ace Frehley. I think he did a really good job. He's still in KISS to this day, and this symphony show that went off really well in February of 2003 was his first official performance with the group. So yes, on February 28, 2003, KISS played the epic symphony show in Australia, and it was broken up into 3 sets. KISS came out and played 6 songs just as KISS. Then they played a short acoustic set with the Melbourne Symphony Ensemble, and then they brought out the full orchestra. It was crazy. They played a set with like full electric instruments, the full show, just plus a symphony orchestra. It was pretty awesome. It never turned into a full-blown tour or anything, but it did spawn a live album and DVD. It spawned, of course, Kiss Alive 4. And that's still a great thing to see, a great thing to watch every once in a while. And it's, like I said, a very interesting lineup of Kiss. To have Gene, Paul, Tommy, and Peter Criss. Pretty cool. From there, Kiss went to Japan. This is crazy. It was their second Japanese tour in 2 years, and it's such a completely different lineup than the one that had come 2 years earlier. 2 years earlier, it was Gene, Paul, Ace Frehley, and Eric Singer, and now it's Gene, Paul, Tommy Thayer, and Peter Criss, so only half the band is the same. Wow, a lot can happen in 2 years. But yes, Kiss did sell out 3 nights at the Budokan Hall in Tokyo, the legendary Budokan Hall in Tokyo that Kiss has sold out so many times throughout the years. Big accomplishment to sell it out 3 times. Then from there they went to Yokohama for a show. And then this is one of the craziest logistical things in Kiss's entire touring history for me. March 15th, they played the last show of the Japanese tour in Yokohama. And then the very next day, March 16th, they're playing a small little theater show in Las Vegas. How they did that turnaround is crazy. They must have hopped on a plane, taken the whole flight. Granted, they would have had a few more hours since they're switching to the Western Hemisphere, of course. But still, the turnaround time on that is crazy. So yes, they did a couple of Las Vegas shows, and then they took a few months mostly off, but they were planning another big tour. They were signing on for a major North American tour with Aerosmith. Yes, a co-headlining tour with Aerosmith. Of course, 3 years after their previous farewell tour in the US, they were back doing a major tour, now minus Ace Frehley, of course. But that was a really cool co-headlining tour. I wish I was old enough to have seen that. They were billed as co-headliners, but Aerosmith did close the show every night. There are certain Kiss fans that were a little upset by that, and I get it. Now, hear me out. Aerosmith is definitely the bigger band. If they're not more iconic as a band, they most certainly have Kiss beat in terms of hit songs. So, I understand why from a popularity standpoint Aerosmith would want to close the show, but to me, Kiss is on this very short list of entertainers throughout time that I just feel must headline. There's only a few, I'm talking like Elvis, James Brown. I really think Kiss is on that list. Now, I'm not comparing them or their musical talent to Elvis or James Brown. I'm just saying Kiss puts on a ridiculous show. There's pyro, there's explosives, and I know lots of bands do pyro and explosives and stuff, but they've crafted this amazing visual spectacle of a show, and I just don't understand how, as a band, you could go on after them. But Aerosmith, I suppose, was up to the task, and follow Kiss they did every night for the tour, which started out as an outdoor tour of sort of Live Nation venues from August to October, and then it was so successful that they moved it indoors for a second leg in indoor arenas in November and December. This tour finished with a show in Fresno, California on December 20th, 2003, which was Peter Criss's 58th birthday.
It's Peter's birthday!
This was a poignant moment because not only was it Peter Criss's birthday, I don't know that they necessarily knew it at the time, but I believe they probably did. This was, to this date, Peter Criss's last concert with Kiss. In the months that followed that tour, it was announced that Peter Criss would be again replaced by Eric Singer in yet another flip-flop lineup change of who's on drums. Peter Criss, it seemed like for those years he really wanted to be involved with the band, but he was unhappy when he was in the band. and also unhappy. He's mentioned in interviews many times that he was unhappy that he did not make the same money as Gene and Paul despite being an original member. In the 70s, the band had been split 4 ways. Everyone had a 25% stake. By the time the reunion came along, that was no longer true. Gene and Paul were the captains of the ship, and they were basically contracting out the other positions, even when they were Ace and Peter. And long story short, Peter was unhappy. He left the group and has not returned to this day, nor has Ace. So that's a lot of lineup changes to cover over those last 4 years of KISSTORY. But from that point on, KISS has stabilized. This replacement of Peter Criss by Eric Singer in early 2004 stands to this day as the most recent KISS lineup change. They have been Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Tommy Thayer, and Eric Singer ever since. I will talk about 2004 and beyond in my next episode of KISSTORY. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the description for links to the channels for my other wonderful fellow VEDSies. There are 7 of us in total making a video every day this month. We are almost done. This is day 25. 5 more to go. But yes, I'll catch you tomorrow and every day for the remainder of this month. See you guys soon.